me see, we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to TRPG, where we spill the tea on TTRPGs while sipping some amazing tea. I have here from Friday Afternoon Tea. It's called Happy Little Tea. And the ingredients include black tea, green tea, and elderflower. Hello, everyone, and welcome to TTRPG, where we
from somewhere.
spill the tea on TTRPGs while sipping some amazing tea. I figured it out. So sorry, everyone. So many tabs open, hard to follow. But like I was saying, black tea, green tea, and elderflower. So, Nikki, are you ready to do a little taste test?
Yes. And I'm not going to lie, I already tasted it this morning, but this time I added milk and sugar.
Ooh, good idea. I'm drinking it straight.
It's really good. I'm trying to find the words to describe it.
I literally sang the song in my head, The Best of Both Worlds, from Hannah Montana. And, that's really how it describes it for me, because I love black tea and green teas so much, and I feel like I always have to choose in between, and this really does it for me.
Yeah, so this tea has both black tea and green tea in it, and the elderflower. It is a little floral. I tend to not drink things with flowers in them because I'm allergic to so many things, but Friday has been amazing about making sure that none of the things that I drink are things that I'm allergic to, which is really nice. Awesome. So Happy Little Tea definitely does remind me of a quiet day of painting, which I think is maybe what she was going for, because I think of Happy Little Trees, Bob Ross.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah. Awesome. So those of you who don't know, Friday Afternoon is our partner in this, and she has a type of synesthesia where she can taste words. And if you type in our code TRPG, you can get 15% off all gaming inspired teas. There is info in the chat. Reese, should we bring our guests on? Well, first of all, I do need to say that Adelaide had to reschedule, and so we'll have her on a different episode later on, but I'm really excited because we still have two awesome guests, and I think that you're all going to have a great time.
Yes, and today we have with us Avalon and Diana. Avalon is one half of the Femsplained podcast, a burlesque performer and a nerdy jack of all trades. And Diana is a TTRPG creator. So let's have on Avalon and Diana.
Awesome. Yay.
Hi.
Hello. I have a silly question to start us all off.
Please.
My silly question is, so I know that at one point you two were roommates, right? And so now you're on basically the opposite sides of the United States. So, in your opinion, which is the best coast? West Coast or East Coast?
Well, Diana doesn't know, because
I don't know. I've never been to West Coast. I've only been on the East Coast. Avalon has an unfair ability to compare here.
I think that the West Coast is better, with the caveat that everybody I care about is on the East Coast. So for that reason, the East Coast is better. But if I could magically transplant all the people I care about, absolutely West Coast.
And I also feel like the East Coast is only good because of New York City. and then I think the West Coast probably has a lot more nice things about it. But I'm very biased.
Well, as someone who's never really been to the East Coast, New York is the only thing that's actually ever intrigued me about going there. So I'm always like, yes, the West Coast is the best coast. But I mean, it really does boil down to the people that you love. So yeah. I would go anywhere for them.
Yeah. We will probably be going back for that reason.
To the East Coast?
Yeah.
Diana's like, yes, do it.
Yeah. We've been doing
I've
this.
been to like Florida and Tennessee, but like I'm not really getting the full East Coast vibes until I get to New York, right?
No. Yeah. I mean, well, maybe you are. Maybe that's the real East Coast and New York is just an anomaly that's, over here. I don't know. What the coasts, at least the East Coast does not really have like anything in common as you go like north
Yeah.
to south. It's so like there's so much disparity in like all the different culture that you will see like just going from Maine to Florida.
Yeah.
It's so
It's a
true.
lot.
I mean, I identify as a coastie. So I lived in a landlocked state for a few years and I hated it. I had to drive like 5 hours to get to the beach, to get to see the ocean. I
Yeah.
can't be landlocked. So I guess East and West Coast is good. Just in the middle,
Yeah.
it's great. There's a lot of cool things, but I can't be locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So, both of you, could you kind of tell me about your involvement with the TTRPG community?
Diana, go first.
Okay, sure. We have a complicated relationship. It's we're is that still a thing you can choose on Facebook to make your partner uncomfortable?
It's complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah, that's my my relationship with the TTRPG sphere. I mean, I was just, a hobbyist, a participator in it for a long time, and then I guess I didn't like a lot about it, and I dealt with that by sticking my hands all over it and being like, it's mine now. So I don't know. That's my involvement in a nutshell. I have published some things. I have reviewed some things. I've made some jokey videos here and there. I'm kind of just doing a little bit of a variety of things just to insert myself into the sphere.
What about you, Evelyn?
I am just here to have fun.
That's not true. You wrote something. It's fun, but you wrote something. You're not just...
Truly, it's been sort of me following what I find is a fun hobby, being more involved with the community online around it. And then I think that you just like start getting sucked in to how inspired you are being surrounded by so many interesting and creative people. So that has led down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I have written a couple of just like silly little one-shots. I published one recently. But yeah.
That's awesome. I identify with both of your backstories, just like wanting to insert yourself and maybe being like a little disheartened about things, but making it into a more positive place, especially for us as women. And then also just the simple fact that we're here to have fun, and that should be the number one priority. I had the opportunity to listen to your podcast. I hadn't really known about y'all before, so I was pleasantly surprised. I listened to the episode where you talked about TTRPGs, and I had a lot of good laughs. So I took a few points out of your podcast because I feel like I wanted to elaborate more and kind of like get myself involved with some of this conversation.
So it's not, you don't have notes, right?
We are not, no feedback. We don't have feedback.
I talked about this on the last episode, but I will always reference New Girl, my favorite sitcom TV show.
No
Sure.
And in one of the episodes, it says, no notes.
No notes.
Well, because I think that's a particularly old episode too, so...
The whole show is kind of old now. I'm aging with it right now because we're all like 30-something, so I relate to a lot of the things.
Me too.
but
Yeah.
no notes. Just a lot of conversation and kind of like digging into some of that stuff. But
Oh, great.
I'm single, and so like anything that's dating related, I like really I identify with it, and I definitely want to know other people's dating stories. But you referenced having a first date being like a first podcast. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So just like for a little bit of backstory on that, like Avalon, like everybody's relationships and friendships and stuff are long distance and primarily through the internet now. But Avalon and I have been doing that since way before it was mandatory.
Or cool, is
Or
what I think we could all refer to this situation as. Yeah.
Very cool. So we because of our coast to coast friendship, we've been having an online relationship friendship for so long, and for a long time it was pretty much primarily through text. Like there was a big gap in between us being roommates where we didn't speak verbally to each other like at all, or like see each other in person or see each other even like on a video chat. And the first time we recorded our first episode of the podcast was also, this is a bad idea, was the first time that we communicated with our actual voices and looked at each
Yes.
other on camera.
No.
Okay,
we
that's
did not.
why. Okay, so that
Oh,
makes
right.
sense.
We didn't look at each other on camera.
No, there was
Right.
no video. It was just an audio call. And so no one knew when the other one was talking, and it was awkward. And we hadn't heard each other's voices in years, and it was just like very painful.
I was
It was
wondering
very
what you were
painful.
talking
Anyway, go
about
listen.
on your most recent episode. We were like, we haven't built rapport yet. And I'm like, aren't they like best friends? What do they mean they hadn't built rapport? But that makes more sense.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. It was like we had, like the way we were communicating was solely through text, and this was different. And then like Avalon said, like we weren't looking at each other, so we weren't getting cues. And also like talking on a podcast is different than like how you would just chat too. And we came at it like, I don't recommend listening to that first episode. But if you do, it's very much like, here are the facts. I basically just defined what D&D was. Like I read the dictionary definition out loud and was like, and here's the information. There will be no jokes today. It is just the description of the game. Like we were just so uncomfortable and like not in our groove about it.
That makes sense now.
I mean, speaking about how awkward it was probably definitely equates to what a first date is like, and definitely like getting a podcast out from under the belt. Like you have this big idea and you're not sure how to execute it. That completely makes sense to me. So
Yeah, I think we had hubris going for us. I think we didn't know that it was a weird or difficult or big thing to execute. We were just like, podcast it.
Yeah. And I think the thing that really drove me was that like we posted like our first 2 episodes. And it was one thing for me that like some men we knew were like, we have criticism, and then I was like, nope, this is the best podcast. This is the best podcast of all time. Men don't like it. Great.
yes, the moment that they start hating it means you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Another part that I took out of this particular podcast was a conversation that you had that said, what has nerd culture done for you? And the only reason like why that sparks to me is because like all these times that basically we've been told that we're not allowed to be nerds. So what it's done for you is probably like a lot, it might be a lot less than what you've done for it.
Mm-hmm. That's the tea.
Yes, that is.
Wow.
And I will say occasionally, like we try to each time, like just to talk about something that like brought us joy. which that segment actually, that was Avalon's idea to insert that segment, and I really like it a lot. Because we didn't start with that as part of it, and it's just like a nice thing to just be like, instead of having to like define everything or like answer questions about it or whatever, just be like, this is the thing that brought me joy.
Or
but
rage.
occasionally, exactly, occasionally we do say stuff that nerd culture has done to us, like totally affronted us with, or like, things we needed to like expend unnecessary energy on and stuff like that too.
For sure.
I'm not sure who said it because it's a podcast, so I can't see faces, but I think it might have been Avalon that said, just let people have fun. Can it be that simple?
I mean, I want it to be, but there are so many times where either the fun that you're having upsets other people because they don't want you to be there, or conversely, the fun you're having is at the expense of other people. And then, it's the burden falls to others to like have to deal with that and like, address it or call it out and stuff like that. And that's all just, it all just takes away from the ability of certain people to just enjoy the thing they're trying to enjoy because they have to do all this extra unnecessary work, and I think the statement still holds true. We still want to let people enjoy things. It's just that comes with varying amounts of labor on certain people's shoulders. It sucks.
Really does. I mean, I feel like we kind of walk a fine line between what we like and what is problematic about the things that we like. So like having to pick that out is a huge burden on top of us just trying to have some fun.
Right. You, it's interesting. I have heard more people talking about this, and this is something that has happened to me in the past. But like, have you ever been like just approached to like advise on something just because you happen to be like a girl in the hobby or something like that, or you happen to be a queer person in the hobby or whatever, even though you don't have any like necessary like education on like inclusivity training or anything like that. People are like, oh, you have this identity, so we need you to weigh in on it. But it just started to occur to me that like that should be something that like we go to people who have like a trained expertise in, and not like just like pointing at someone who has a specific identity and being like, you should teach us how to do this better.
It's so true. I mean, I have been unpaid, but an advisor for a lot of tabletop writers that want to have the perspective of a woman, and more importantly, a woman of color, where I've had to be like, this is what I think that women and brown people do, but this is all from my own experience, and I don't have the correct training, but I'll tell you what triggers me and what my experience is. But like that actually is a paid job, to be somebody that can provide some diversity training for tabletop writers. And it's even more interesting the fact that tabletop writers have to seek that so often rather than having a more diverse team in the first place. So
that's
either
another thing.
pay accordingly or get more diverse people on your team, whether it's women, POC, LGBTQ. Like, it's already enough of a taxing burden on us just to exist, than to also have to enlighten the rest of the entire industry.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah, that's, well, you said it.
I mean, we could talk about this for a long time. But
Yeah.
We only have this short talk show, but this could be a long talk later.
Yeah.
Absolutely. With that being said, I think it's time to introduce. I'm going to transition us over to introduce Sarah Donner. Sarah Donner is an alternative pop singer and songwriter who has embraced her inner cat lady, and she is here to perform for us. And take it away whenever you're ready.
Hi, you read my bio.
It's like I'm a professional at this or something.
I know, I was like, oh, gosh, great. Hi, thank you for having me. So I'm going to talk about, sing a song about a game that I'm not passionate about. Wait, no, I should do the other one first. Hold on, and this will make sense if I go in the opposite direction. I'm a genius, and I just figured this out. Okay. So this is my Catan song about my biggest problem when I play the game is I tend to be a little bit narrow-minded, a little bit narrowly focused on one aspect of the game, and I can't not do it anymore, and it's just how I get by, and it's called The Longest Road. So you head to the hills and the forest, but still you're just building the longest road. The mountains are far, but you know where you are when you're starting the longest road. So you look down at all your cards. You're played out and it's so hard. Bricks and wood are what you need. A city sits inside your hand. Houses still aren't on your land. No one wants your fucking sheep. And you won't settle in, wasting on settlements, 'cause you're building the longest road. And the points they could swing in a year of plenty. You're just building the longest road. So roll the dice and make a trade, 'cause that's how you play the game. Lead yourself to victory. A robber's placed upon your grain, but you don't need it anyway. And still, buddy, no one wants your sheep. And you're not one to fight, so you pass on the nights. Just keep building the longest road. It's unlikely you'll win, but you cannot give in when you're playing the longest road. And this is the part where the audience would sing along if anybody else wants to. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Special building things. And I wrote this on tour. Could it be metaphor? I-90 is the longest road. And you're never alone when the road is your home. Just keep driving the longest road.
Amazing. That was so much fun.
I'm super giddy after hearing that song. Thank you.
And I was like dancing in my seat.
Yeah. I mean, I had to put myself on mute
about,
just
which
to make
coast
sure.
is the best coast, because that informed me. I was like,
You
I
can take
have
the 90 to each way. It's the best coast.
Yeah, and depending on the audience I'm playing to, I'll just like pick the most annoying highway that's local.
Smart. So Sarah, I wanted to ask you, what is something that you nerd out or geek about? I mean, obviously games, because if we can tell from that song that you play games. But what else are you personally passionate about?
Sure. Musical theater. I am a huge Broadway nerd. I went to school for vocal performance, and I was like, I'm gonna be a star. And then I had to audition for things, and I was like, fuck that. But no, I very much am attached to theater, musical theater. That's probably my number one geekery thing after cats. But
I was going to say, we can hear the other thing that you're passionate about in the background. Tell us about your cat rescue.
Yeah. Also, I foster kittens with my partner, and so we specialize in neonatal bottle babies. And I've been doing it for about 15 years at this point. So yeah, cats are a huge part of my life in animal rescue.
Amazing. We have some fellow theater kids in the chat, so you've definitely got some friends. And then our friend Allison is in the chat also, acknowledging bottle babies take work, and they really do. She is she works in the vet office, so she totally knows what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, like starting out, we get them we'll get them from day 1 or day 2. We get them when they need to be fed every 2 hours,
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, my husband will do, he'll do like I'll stay up till 2 a.m. and then he'll do like the 4 a.m. and the 6 a.m. and then we just kind of like trade off during the day. And we both work from home. I mean, especially now, but it's hard work because they're always best with their mom, and that is the best way to care for them. So there's a really high mortality rate when you have bottle babies. But when you do have the wins, which is more than not the wins, it's just, I don't know. I don't have kiddos, and I'm not planning on having any kiddos. So that fulfills any biological need for me to like, care for a thing. And so yeah, that's my love. That and musical theater.
That's amazing. Well, we will have Sarah perform another song for us towards the end of the show. And then I did want to preface, when we move to our next part of the show, that we are going to be talking about a current event that is happening, or that happened mostly yesterday in the tabletop community. And so when we transition over, you're going to see a content warning sign up on the screen. And we are going to be talking about a topic that includes simulated sexual assault. And if that's not something you want to hear us talk about, or if you don't feel like hearing us talk about dudes in the industry treating women like crap, then you might want to mute us for a bit. But then once we switch back over to not having a content warning, that means you can unmute us because we're done talking about that topic. So, Avalon and Diana, I'm transitioning back over with our content warning up. And
I like that you made a visual for it. That's great.
My dear girlfriend came up with the idea. She is so clever. And I was like, that's actually really good because people don't have to leave. They can just mute us for a bit. And then when we put this on YouTube, I'll put the timestamp of when it happens as well.
That's great.
Yeah, so a little bit of background on the topic. So last summer, Adam Coble was playing an RPG. I think it was Starfinder, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It was the Good Verona. Fair Verona.
Far Verona, yes.
Far Verona.
Yes. And so what happened was one of his characters was playing an android, and he decided that this mechanic who was supposed to be helping this player's character was going to instead sexually assault this character, and did not tell the player, did not tell the other players at the table, like did not discuss it. No content warnings for the audience, no content warnings for the people who were playing. And when you watch it, it's very clear that everyone else at the table was really uncomfortable. And he laughed it off and then did a non-apology and tried to deflect by saying, well, with everything going on, Black Lives Matter is more important, so don't focus on me. Tried to weasel his way back into the industry this year. Yesterday, we found out that he was part of a Kickstarter. So yeah, Diana, do you want to share your thoughts on that? Because I know you have some.
I think that it's important to recognize that some of us, so other people have done great threads about this, great long, like at length pieces about this, but most of what we consider like the online TTRPG community is really a lot of small players, you know, in a pretty big but engaging community, right? And sometimes it gets highlighted that like how big the disparity is between us, like the small players, all kind of like trying to get like our little crumbs, and then a person like this who, to be able to, if I was trying to explain this to my partner earlier too, was if I left Twitter, no one would buy anything. My games would just, there would nobody, if I just stopped posting on Twitter, I don't think that I could get anyone to come to my streams or to buy my games or to work with me on stuff like that. That's where all of my like relationship to the community is built and comes from. This person had a level of clout of social capital that he was able to just step away from where he was receiving heat and not stop making things, and was able to be invited to be a part of this big Kickstarter, this, you know, this big production, you know, without, just by stepping away from it, you know, like, and just being like, I don't want to deal with that heat. And I think of the many things that this incident highlights, it's that like social consequences disparatively affect marginalized people and do not affect people like that. Like I saw just months ago, like, you know, some, you know, people were called out for some behaviors that were not half as bad as that. But, you know, if they are not a cis white guy, it's, you know, they're actually going to face consequences. And for him, he just kind of stepped away, hit the mute on the noise, and behind the scenes just worked, you know, his way back in through the back door. It's, you know, it's just a different experience of the community that I can't begin to know what that would be like, to like be able to do that.
Yeah, and in the meantime, he's still filling his pockets. So it's like, what's more disheartening about that whole situation? The fact that he's still making money, or the fact that he thinks that he can just push mute and come right back? Like, the privilege is all right there. And I mean, I know that makes me mad.
Well,
Yep.
What I would say is like the silver lining on this nasty cloud is that you get people like myself and like Diana, who guys like that are the reason that we started GMing, I would say. Like for me, I know that you've said it's kind of like that for you. That bad GMs are why you became a GM. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you know, and this is something that I have definitely spoken about before, and it's definitely something that I'm, you know, I try to be as open about as possible, but like that was what like I thought was normal. Like there's a version of me somewhere in the past that like totally normalized like what that was, and wouldn't have had a second thought about it for a while, even if it had happened to me, because it did, like so often. And becoming more involved in the community of TTRPGs, and being more involved with with people of color in the community, women in the community, other queer people in the community who actively made it to erase those things from it, helped to alter my thinking, and to to like scrub that from the things that I let be acceptable, like in my life. So it's actually like, it can be very, upsetting to see someone still doing that, and to be so accepted by so many people for doing it, and then to see like the parade of people trying to rehabilitate him, which is, I think, to me, that's the part that gets my skin like super crawly, is that like so many people are just like so desperate to be like, there is nothing wrong with this, and that like that's the tipping, like, for me.
Or he apologized. We don't know anything about what harm reduction he's done, but because he apologized, we're gonna be okay with him.
It's kind of weird how much it kind of aligns with the, not to talk about politics, but just the state of America right now. Like, people saying that things are okay when like a definite huge minority, but it's really the majority, are complaining about it, and the change is not being made.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's, I mean, I feel like, and I think like Avalon also, like, I don't know if you are, we didn't talk about this yet, like just the two of us, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I think like for both of us, if I'm, not mistaken, like we wanted to make like our spaces better on purpose, and like, I don't know, it just gets disheartening when you see like that people succeed on bad behaviors while everybody else is trying so hard.
Whenever I see these awful men make, like, cis white men doing these things and getting away with them, and then I see how many followers they have, and I know how hard some of the people I interact with work for their gains, and it's become so frustrating.
Yeah.
To watch them just succeed and continue to succeed when they don't deserve it. And this whole conversation, this is why Emerald City Game Masters Guild got started. It's why I joined the guild, because we are like, we're tired of dealing with this. Our West Marches server, I always joke, like, the majority of our community are femme-presenting people and queer people, and like, if you follow the gays and the theys and the she's, the gays and the theys, you're gonna find a good time. And like we said earlier, like, if the men start liking your podcast, then it's probably not the kind of podcast I want to listen to. Not that I'm not saying there aren't men who are cool and are going to totally enjoy your podcast, but you know what I'm saying. I think, unless, Avalon, do you have anything you want to add?
I mean, no, I think this community is a microcosm of the world, and these are situations that don't feel surprising to any of us, certainly not anybody who holds a marginalized identity. So it can be frustrating and enraging, and that's that's what it is. And I don't say that in a way that we shouldn't do anything about it, but in a way that the rage muscle that I have that digests my rage is just always going, and it's going for this too.
I agree, Evelyn. I think that even just us having this conversation is us doing something, but we all know that we have been doing our part and will be doing more in order to make sure that we can really provide a safe and inclusive community for everyone.
Yeah. One thing that came up in the chat that I think was really valuable is this idea that normalizes, are you designing characters ahead of time based on how likely that character is to avoid an SA situation? And I will say, up until the point that I started GMing, every single character I made was specifically like, what is something that would not be appealing for my white cis male GM to put this character in that kind of a situation?
I didn't even realize I was doing
alarmed
that.
Me. Oh, what were you saying, Nikki?
I said she just blew my mind because I don't think I realized that I've been doing that. All of my characters are beefy herbos or like paladins or fighters.
Yeah.
That's what was alarming to me about this whole situation is it's like, you can apologize yourself out of any situation, but not really. Like, that was a premeditated decision to have an NPC do that action. And the fact that he didn't think that was wrong before actually performing it is the most scary part. And that's like kind of where some of these assault stories get explained away when really it's like, what was in the mind of the person that decided that was okay?
Yeah. And just like in real life, there is no character that you can design that is immune to being victimized. But It's the fact that you bring that posturing mentality into a situation that you're entering, you know.
Yeah. It makes my skin itch.
Yeah. It's very gross. I think the last thing that I would like to say is that there, in this case, like, because of how well liked he was and how well, how surrounded he was by a lot of, people who, are in this hobby who were women and were, like, are queer people, etc. And there was like a window and an opportunity for him to recover from this in an honest way. And the thing that really like drives this home is that he deliberately didn't take it. Like there was absolutely an open door that I remember being like very clear and put forward. And instead he was like, I will choose to deflect, not apologize, disappear, and then show back up in a underhanded way instead. And that, like, like, I want to believe that there are ways for people to grow and get better. Like, I do. I really, really do. And I know that they exist. But then, like, there are choices. And that was a deliberate, like, choice that was made.
Definitely. And, like, we kind of have to correlate the situation with, like, other outside of gaming situations where abuse becomes a repetitive thing. You can block somebody's number and then show up at their house 3 months later and still be abusive. You can, stop doing what you're doing and then come back and keep abusing. And I feel like this could be a similar situation where, yeah, I'm just going to put myself on mute for a while, come right back in. That's also putting everyone else at risk for experiencing the same harm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Does everyone want to take a deep breath together and shrug our shoulders up and then let them back down? Michelle in chat. Okay, before we move on, sorry. Michelle in chat just made a really important point of that the character that was assaulted in the game was actually a male presenting android. And so, like, we have to remind people it's still not okay. Like, not that that's what Michelle is implying, because I know that's not what she's implying, but people tend to shrug off assault when it happens to men. And we are not about that. Like, we're not about that here. And so I think that definitely plays a role. Okay, so let's, unless anyone has anything else they want to share on this topic, I was going to move back and change our overlay so that people can join us again. And then maybe we can do one more silly question and get some like plugs from you two, and then we can let Sarah do a second performance.
Cool.
How's that sound? All right.
Definitely have a silly question. Also related to the podcast that I listened to, which was great, by the way, again.
Thank you.
But I was cracking up when y'all were talking about Claire's because I used to work there.
Oh no!
I was one of the piercers, and I really thought I was a professional, and I was terrified by the story. So could you elaborate? We all know, I mean, me as a young girl definitely went to Claire's every single time I went to the mall. I bought all the terrible cheap accessories. Then when I got a job there, I got all that stuff for an employee discount. And I got to poke people in the ear. So
Oh my God.
How old
more.
were you when you were working there?
I was 18, and I pierced a lot of babies, and I still have PTSD from like all the times that I thought that I might have not did it right.
It's just like I could never wrap my head around the concept of Claire's, of like having like did you work with anybody younger than you who worked the piercing gun?
Literally the manager.
What?
So I was the oldest one.
Oh, good God. This is all of my
It's worse
all of my
nightmares coming
fears
alive.
just like totally being
So sorry.
justified.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should not
Live with that.
Yes.
I mean, the biggest exciting story I got out of it was the fact that I got an employee discount. I was able to fund my princess party, and everybody got to dress up, and it was a huge hit.
I
But
bet.
that's it. I hated that job so much, and every time I walk by, I'm just like, no, don't do it. And I've definitely I've pierced ears before outside of working at Claire's, so like I actually know how to pierce things, but the whole gun thing, it's not a best practice.
That's hilarious. I'm
Right.
so happy that you shared that.
That I'm I like my face is so red. That was amazing. We just it's just always so funny to me that like in the rest of the world, like getting a piercing is like a, you know, it's a big deal. You go to a tattoo parlor, like you have a trained professional has like, you know, experience with sterilization and stuff like that. And then like, you know, I don't know. It's so dystopian to like go get like your child's ear pierced by another child.
Yeah.
And then-
If anything, like, you can't just call people bad moms, but like anytime a parent brought their infant child to me, I'm just like, are you sure? All they have to do is sign, but I feel like there should have been a little bit more of a screening process for that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they pierced mine when I was a newborn because I did not look like a girl enough for them. So
Oh,
I know. And now I'm happy. I went through a phase where I hated it because it was a decision that was made without my consent. So when I was 8 years old, I threw a fit about it. But now I get to wear all kinds of fun earrings, and so it's worth having them pierced. But it's awesome. Okay, well, Avalon, you have anything you want to plug in particular?
Oh, I was like, to say about Claire's? Sure. No,
Well, if you want to talk about Claire some more, you can.
I got my ears pierced at Claire's. and they were fine, but it is dystopian.
Yeah.
What would I like to plug? I'd always like to plug Femsplained first and foremost. You can find Femsplained podcast everywhere podcasts are. And you can follow me on Twitch and Twitter at @A_catattack. I stream and then I do other things randomly when it's just what I feel like doing. And so you can keep updated with that if you want to follow me on Twitter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Diana? Diana, do you have anything you want to plug?
Me? Do
Yeah.
I want to have? Yeah, of course I do. Sorry, I think I might have froze for a second. But yes, I would also like to plug Femsplained. Please go listen to Femsplained. We also have a Patreon now.
Oh, yeah.
So you can help us keep Femsplained happening. We got Raiders in here.
Great.
Well, that's really
Hello,
nice.
Raiders.
We got a whole group of audience for Sarah.
Yes. Just in time for me to tell you about Femsplained, podcast for nerd femmes and also other people, but primarily. So yes, Femsplained podcast. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Femsplained, and you get early access to some episodes and behind the scenes stuff and things like that. So very much want to push that. I also published a D&D 5th edition setting based on Neverland, which you can go get on Drive-Thru RPG, which is pretty great, I think. I'm pretty happy with it. And if you follow me on Twitter, you will just see all the other things that I do. I post up everything there too much.
Awesome.
Oh, wait. This Saturday coming up, Saturday night is the first episode of our City of Mist campaign.
Oh,
with an
yeah.
absolutely freaking out of control cast. The GM is D.
RD. They are one of our GMs.
Yes. And I mean, I'm just so excited. So please, on my Twitch stream next Saturday, that'll be good.
Awesome. All right. So if you missed it earlier, we have Sarah Donner is our musical guest today. She is an alternative pop singer and songwriter and a lover of cats. And we're going to transition over for one more Sarah performance.
Oh, hello. All right. Friday night, sitting at the table. All your friends with facial hair are here. They've got dice that are so expensive, like really expensive. Who spends that much on dice? You invite me to your party. Suddenly I have to fold laundry. 'Cause I won't play Dungeons and Dragons. It's not gonna happen, not tonight. It looks hard, like you gotta do math and use your imagination. I don't get why you sit for hours on a game that no one wins in the end. And you set up a guy named Dave behind a cardboard wall, and you call him a DM. Games are work when they're so demanding. Can't we just play Settlers of Catan? 'Cause I won't play Dungeons and Dragons. It's not gonna happen, not tonight. It looks hard, like you gotta do math and use your imagination. Maybe it's me and my commitment issues, I'll disappoint you. Maybe it's me and my fear of confrontation when every die you roll turns into a fight between a floating disc or basilisk, featherfall, prismatic wall, manticore or minotaur, nightmare, owl bear, paladin, barbarian, cleric, priest, unholy beast, dragonborn, valhalla horn, elephants and unicorn. God damn it. I won't play Dungeons and Dragons. It's not gonna happen. Not tonight. It looks hard, like you gotta do math and use your imagination. I won't play Dungeons and Dragons. It's not gonna happen. Not tonight. It looks hard, like you gotta do math and use your imagination. Your halfling assassin, it's not gonna happen. Not tonight. Not tonight. Not tonight. Not tonight. Why is the table sticky?
That's amazing.
I had so many good laughs and really relatable memories with that song. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Do you want to plug anything in particular, Sarah?
Oh, yeah, sure. You can buy my the two songs that I played are both on Bandcamp. I've got a ton of records on Bandcamp. And I say Bandcamp because artists get the best cut when you do buy from Bandcamp, but it's streaming on all the things. And I have a kitten cam, so it's called Club Smoosh on YouTube, and it's a 24/7 cam of my fosters, and so you can watch my kittens over there. And right now we've got two little bitty panthers named Zipline and Teeter Totter. And they're on that camp. So if you need a break from the real world and want to check out some kittens, go check out Club Smoosh over there. And I guess lastly, the thing I can promote is same like we do. I do every Saturday night a show called Quarantine-a-Palooza, and Avalon is actually going to be our guest next week. So March 6th. So. Just, I guess, check out my YouTube channel. It's Sarah Donner Party, and you can hang out with us every Saturday night. We do a interview, very similar thing. COVID has forced us to be social in these ways, and so we're going to be chatting with Avalon. And we have a musical guest, and we do Jackbox games where the audience is welcome to play with us. I think those are all the things. And I'm Sarah Donner, and that is my story.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on this show. That was so great. All right. I'm going to transition us to our outro.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you got to sip on some tea and gossip with us a little bit about TTRPGs. Please make sure to follow us at TTRPG_ on Twitter. Also be sure to follow Nikki at halfling_Nick. And me at Miss Reese1. We will be back to you at the end of March on Sunday in order to stream another fun show for us. One more thing, we do want to make sure that you can take advantage of the discount code for Friday afternoon tea. If you use the promo code TTRPG, you will get 15% off, and you'll get to taste the happy little tea that we got today, or any other blends that you're interested in.
One more thing. Happy birthday, Selena and Allison. So I'm really excited about our game today, and happy birthday. All right.
Also, be sure to follow Emerald City Game Masters Guild. You can find us on the website at emeraldcitygmg.com. We're also on Twitter. And we're having a huge fun event coming up in March, so you'll definitely want to follow up with that so you can play some games with us.